G'day all, welcome to Inside NBA Show, the pickup where I take you through some of the hottest pickups and must-adds this week and review the schedule for week 9. We're breaking it all down. We're going to tell you who's hot, who's not, and we're going to give you the latest injury news to see where you can get in some nice streams and some values, and a very special bonus this episode because I am currently here in my mum and dad's home with the wife and bub. We are away on family Christmas. So I'm also going to get you a bit of a lowdown this episode. This is a big one. I'm going to give you the top places that you can somehow sneak away from your family on Christmas Day to stream a shitload of NBA.
Welcome to the Ultimate Super Coach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Yeah, you are, and this is the Pickup, the show that Matty, Mally, and I usually dedicate every single week to breaking down the latest in news, the trends. We do recaps of the day. We look forward to the week that was or is coming up, and this show is no different. We're going to go over some of the guys this week. I might mix it up a little bit. I might just get down to the business of who we're looking at injury-wise and to get some streams on. Just to start the show off, we'll get through this one. We'll get into our hot guys and our waiver pickups, but let's have a look at some injury news because there's some really interesting stuff happening around the NBA with an injury update. Or a really bloody stuffed heel, because right now one of the big news topics is Kyrie Irving and his heel. Now, there's been a couple of pros and cons with Kyrie Irving in your side. One, he hasn't gone off the deep end. Big pro. Pro, he's playing very good basketball next to Luka. Pro, with him being injured, Luka is absolutely torching the NBA and being one of the hottest players without a shadow of a doubt. Like he was, look, there was a bit of contention whether how good Luka would be to begin the season. And hats off, shout out to my mate Nate Hand, who's in Singapore. We're Queensland blokes together, and we were talking before, and he's like, "Who do I take?" He had the second pick, and I'm like, "Look, man." He's like, I'm worried about his leg. I'm worried about these injuries after FIBA, and I'm like, just don't. I just think that no matter what, at the end of the day, Luka is a safe bet, and he has been absolutely rolling lately. Now, Kyrie in their lineup has been fantastic, but news this week is that he might be missing the next couple of games, which is short. But the injury news before that one was that he was ruled out. In fact, he could potentially be sidelined from weeks, as Gran Afseth from Sports Illustrated mentioned. He could be sidelined for weeks. So if you've got an IR or an IL plus spot, by now he's obviously in there, but you could be looking at that for a long, long time. And the window on Dante Exum has long bloody shut. Dante Exum has been absolutely on fuego. So that leads me to something that links into a buy now. Do you sell high on Dante Exum? Like, he has been absolutely cooking. You look at his averages the last few games, his points have gone up. Apart from that blowout where they went like absolutely tam in Los Angeles and he went from 7 threes, he hasn't hit the same heights, but his efficiency has been absolutely incredible. 5 from 5, 8 from 11, 5 from 6. So we're going to touch on that one right now, that for some reason though, and this is the most curious thing where I want to flag it, he's 41% rostered in Yahoo leagues, and he's gone down 3% in the last 24 hours. So I don't know what this is necessarily, but keep an eye out on Dante Exum in your league, especially if there is the potential that Kyrie Irving is going to be out for weeks. He has sustained value. So this is where this injury cloud, this injury shenanigan with Kyrie, whether it be wait until trade time, because that was a possibility for him this season, but he is out for this week. We don't expect to see him back anytime soon. Podzimeshki over in Golden State has been out. He's expected to be back later in this week. We are keeping our eye on there with an Andrew Nembhard returning for the Indiana Pacers. Paul George is a game time decision, and a lot of blokes are getting less game time decisions this week, especially on the shortened week. The big one here, though, I want to touch on this one on, and I think this goes out. I won't do this one as the Markel on this one. This is it's a nice ad. There'd be one Mr. Markel Fultz returning for the Orlando Magic. Now, he has been on waivers pretty much for a while. He has been sidelined, and in true with the tendonitis issue, Markel Fultz is just not rostered. But this is a guy who we were all looking at as potential upside blow for the season. Now, looking at my availability, he's available currently in both leagues. And I look at his history, and in two different ones, he was drafted in the 7th round, the 4th pick, 76 overall in my friends and family league. So I bought him up in Yahoo. Shout out to you, James Newell, New School, in my friends and family league. He picked him up at the 76 pick, and we all thought, oh, it's pretty good for Markel. Like, you'd be happy anywhere from 75 to 100 for the bloke. But you can't get guys that could return this when healthy. Now, he's going to ramp up. He's probably going to be limited around 20, 25 minutes a night. But we all know what he can do and how he cooked last season when he was healthy. Now, he's gone down in rostering, even though he's closer to a return. He's at 59% currently on Yahoo Leagues. But this is an injured guy. And when we mention injury news, it's not always like, oh, bugger me, you're out for 6 weeks. Well, who's coming back from injury? Because these guys slide down on the radar quite quickly. Because if you look with your Yahoo and if you look at your ESPN, no matter what your settings are sometimes, especially in Yahoo, you generally see that, look, I'll open the app. It's as simple as bloody this. And this is the one thing you want to keep your eye on when you're in the app. Go to your players, right? And you see your top available players every time up the top. And then underneath that, you've got your transaction trends. Now, your top players later down the season could be filled with the first 3 guys you see right now in this league are Obi Toppin, Malik Beasley, and Kevin Hoyter. Now, later in the season, let's say Jimmy Butler goes out for it. Giannis goes out for it. LeBron goes out for it. AD goes out for it. Whoever. Kawhi Leonard breaks down. Whatever. Dame Lillard's out for an extended period of time. Some injury, shutdown, chicanery over in Portland. You don't see that a lot, and you don't deep dive into it just saying, oh, that's just all the injured blokes are fucked for the season. Like, you just kind of put it out of your mind, and you generally go down to transaction trends. I was talking about this with a bloke the other day, with a good mate of mine. I don't want to say because he was embarrassed that he didn't know how to look through it. So I don't want to say it anyway. But he looked down and he goes, oh, I generally look at transaction trends. I'm like, okay, cool. How do you shift through them? And he was like, and he was kind of new. So especially if you're a newer player to fantasy, don't just jump on the newer guy all the time. That's the biggest transaction trend for the day. Because right now, the hottest person in fantasy is Taylor Horton-Tucker. And we'll come to him in hot ads a bit later on, but we love that one. But Markel Fultz is inching closer to a return. This is also, we want to shout out to the Orlando Magic for giving us an injury update. Matrix and I was like, we don't know Orlando. They don't give us injury updates. Well, he is listed as playing on Wednesday, Thursday in Australia. It'll be our day, but Wednesday in the US. Wendell Carter Jr. is making a welcome return. He is cleared to play. Now, that doesn't say he's going to play. Doesn't say the minutes limit's there. But at least he is cleared, and he was dropped in a lot of leagues. So do keep your eye on Wendell Carter Jr. And again, I own him. I put him on a roster there. He's gone up 1%. He's 68% rostered. So he's probably definitely gone in 10 and 12 man, like in 14 and 16 man leagues. 12 teams, there's a whiff. The WJC could be around. So when we talk injury news, let's talk about pickups. And let's talk about Wendell Carter Jr. Just have a little bit of a look. He had just started to find his form. He is just starting to look a little bit good. And in fact, I was watching that Utah game, and a mate of mine, shout out Chris Sealy, in my friends and family league. Sealy and I were talking. He's like, look, I want to watch Wendell Carter play. And I was like, cool. And Wendell was on a double-double. He'd had a block. He was looking okay. The 3 threes, like that's what you want to see from him, stretching the floor out. And he'd been okay. Like he'd been almost nearing double-double territory for the couple of games before that one. He wasn't hitting his straps, but that was the bounce-back game. And we were just about to do a trade. And then he went down that last couple of minutes, and that absolutely broke my heart. But now he's coming back, and I'm very, very, very keen for that to happen. I'm very, very keen for that to happen. Next up, we're going to look down at NBA injury report. And I'm looking here to get some value out of what could be happening with Shaedon Sharpe. Now, Shaedon Sharpe went down today, and obviously this opens up a couple of things. This is Scoot Henderson. Why? Because Anthony Simons, the other guy who is going to be seeing any minutes there, is already taken in your rosters. But Scoot Henderson was dropped, and he's working his way back in. And Scoot's been around the place. So this was the groin. He exited the game. Now, he came into this one with the adductor injury to start with, and he was given the green light to play. Now, the Blazers next play on Thursday when they host the Wizards. So Malcolm Brogdon and Scoot Henderson are the 2 guys you want to watch there, because if Shaedon Sharpe is going to miss some extended time, look, I see those 2 guys being the prime beneficiaries there. Probably Brogdon. He did that a little bit to fill in, and Scoot, he's been really cooking coming off the bench, and they might just be trying to build his confidence. They could probably plug and play Matisse Thybulle to a lesser extent and let Anthony play point guard and just run a more defensive unit. Defensive unit. Portland Trailblazers. Trying to make a tad of a joke with that one. But it is the case, and it is true to my word. But that's my big thing there. I want to keep an eye on that and see what happens out there. Keontae George apparently is inching closer to a return in Utah and could be back at the end of this week. We'll talk about one of our hot guys who has been on the rise with him very, very soon. And those are the main ones coming out of today's games that we want to keep our eye on. We've also got some very interesting trends and updates that are going on there. The one guy that I do want to touch on is Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso has been owned and in and out of leagues with the Chicago Bulls, who we all know have been absolutely bloody woeful this season, but he has been a game time decision for almost every single game. And it's like this: play one, get one, play one, get one. So I'm no longer going to say that you should pick up Alex Caruso unless he plays more than 3 games in a row. Because when he's coming back from an ankle, he could be trade bait. They said they're not going to trade him. They're not going to rush him out there and injure the bloke as well. You could be looking to him definitely to only play one night of back-to-back games, and they do have a back-to-back coming up, the Bulls. So if he comes, you could probably expect him to be out for the first night and play the second, or vice versa. Like, he gave it a go, but it swelled up overnight and went. So I'm just playing very cautiously with Alex Caruso. And if he plays the first night of a back-to-back, let's see what the injury update says at the back end of that first game, because for all intents and purposes, if you pick him up, he was great tonight, I want to pick him up. Yeah, well, he might not be great the next time. And that's what we want to have a really big look at there. So let's do that one. And then let's roll into this one. Yeah, indeed. I'm going to mention 2 big names. And whenever you mention a big name in buy low or sell high, and I'll get to another big name in a sell high in a second as well, you're always flirt with this whole like, you're just saying that, or you're a hater, or you don't like that team. Well, no, I'm actually a very proud owner of the first person. I've actually tried to trade for him currently. I've got Skitty going me. I literally had a message from Skitty, who I do shout out to you, do heat check with. He's like, all good luck. I'm going to tell him, we'll chat. I've got a guy who I'm trying to trade for because I believe in Jason Tatum. But I do think there is a window ajar on a buy low. I'm not even trying to buy low. I'm not trying to throw him some just meat out there. I'm not trying to offer him like a Scotch fillet, make it look fancy for this beautiful dripping Wagyu. I'm not trying to offer him some off-cut lamb. No. I'm offering a very juicy piece. But there's this thing that we hold our top pick or our first pick really tightly. And Jason Tatum is one of those picks. Jason Tatum has been inefficient from 2 and from 3 here and there, more especially from 3-point land, incredibly inefficient from 3. His free throw percentage has been inconsistent, which is wild to say about Jason Tatum. And he's probably dropped down in value the last couple of weeks as well from where you would have taken him, substantially so. You'd probably say he's been, the last couple of weeks, top 50. This is a guy you want to be top 10, top 15 at least. So let's look at it and we break it down from this way. This is a guy we like to be scoring, let's say, near nigh on 30 points a night. Now, this wasn't even happening when KP was out. So this is also, we need to examine the fact that this was happening and these inefficiencies were happening when Kristaps Porzingis was out. So when Zinger was out, you would expect him to step up and step more. No, not exactly the case. Going back to his last highest points, 34 points, was almost a month ago against Atlanta on the 26th of November. And that was a 34-point explosion where he hit in 5 threes. Now, he hasn't hit 5 threes in a game. He's only hit 4 threes once, and that was in this last week on the 17th of September versus Orlando in the last week period. And previously, he flirted with threes, but a lot of 2-point games. And you can pick up a guy that gets you 2 threes anywhere. What we love from Jason Tatum when he came out the blocks to begin the season was the 34 points, the 33, the 30, the 32, the 32, the 6-3 games. There was a bunch more 4-point and 5.3 games in there. The rebounds have been solid for JT lately. Don't get me wrong there. But some of the defense has slipped away as well. The steals are coming in drips and drabs, only 2 in his last 5 games, and they happened in 1 game itself. The inefficiencies from the free throw line, this is a little spate of inefficiency from the free throw line that I have not seen from Tatum for a while. Now, this is what I want to get you curious of. His 2-point percentage is down. His everything is down. For me, when I look at this guy, I say it's buy low, not because he's shit, not because I hate the Celtics, even though I'm traditionally not a fan of the Celtics, and I've said that before. I look at the player, and I'm a proud Tatum owner. As I said, I'm trying to trade for him from Skitty. I'm not trying to give him a bag of chips for a Ferrari, and I don't suggest you do that as well. But when you pay like maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 for a pick, and that person disappoints you to the level that maybe he's been a top 30 player lately, and someone nice and sparkly comes along, yet you might be able to just creak that window open a little bit, because it is quite possible that you might be able to creak that window a little bit on one Jason Tatum. And it feels like weird to say that for Tatum, because he is, again, Jason Tatum. But if you look at the anecdotal evidence, if you look at the pure raw numbers, he has dropped. He has absolutely dropped. And that's your window. And currently, over #basketball, if I look over at what Jason Tatum's bringing me right now, I had another for the next segment up there. I'm going to bring up what that one's is one we said. No, not from Memphis. Not from Memphis, for all teams, because we're going to talk about Ja Morant in the hot section. Because bloody hell, you want to get that guy while he's absolutely on Fuego. Jason Tatum is dropped down. And I look through the teams here, and I filter through, what would you expect Jason Tatum on #basketball to be? Top 15 player? Top 25 player? Maybe? Because, Jason, what about this whole team as a must? Old mate has absolutely shifted down. In fact, there we go. Washington all the way down to the bottom. Boston, he is currently ranked, bloody hell, 29. So this is where we want to talk about Jason Tatum in that same regard as a buy low window. And I say this now because your number one pick in your draft this year was Nikola Jokic. And I'm going to say buy low loosely. I'm going to say buy low because currently #basketball has him ranked at number 5. Now, that's not number 1, which he has been with an absolute bullet. He is like just an absolute weapon. He is projected for them on year to be the number 2 ranked player overall. But he's currently 5th, which means you may have just a frustrated owner. Like you might have someone like you might just have an owner in your league that is currently frustrated. And if that's the case, this is where you can get him. In fact, in the last 7 days, according to #basketball, he has been ranked 23rd. And in the last 14 games, he's been ranked the 37th ranked player. In fact, over the last 14 days, his field goal percentage has been at .433. That's low for Jokic. That's low. There's not a lot of threes going on for him right now. The points are under 20. Look, yeah, he's almost a walking triple and double machine. He's been averaging 18 points, 11 rebounds, 8.4 assists. But this was a guy who was pretty much on 12 rebounds, 13 rebound projections. Like, he's been an absolute monster for the last couple of years. So if his foot's off the gas a little bit, we understand what he can do, and he did it last year as well. But again, when you invest the number 1 pick in someone, this comes with the whole battle of two worlds. Will you trade the number 1 pick or won't you? And if you do, what do you get back for that? Well, you could get a really bloody awesome first rounder and someone really great back with him. Or you could send out maybe a really great second rounder and a really great support pick, and what the person needs, you could pry away Nikola Jokic right now. And it just feels odd to say it, but he could be playing better. Like, that feels so odd to say. Like, it's not the hottest take in the world. Like, I'm not going to sit back and be like, hey, guess what, guys? Nikola Jokic is horseshit. You know, he's crap. Oh, you know, this is the hottest take in NBA fantasy. He's shithouse. No, it's not true. There's no chance of that being the case. This is not exactly this. He is very, very, very good at the game of basketball. The man is an absolute master. But again, it's investment and panic that you capitalize on. If someone has invested that number 1 pick, which they would have, unless the person who picked number 1 in your league was a massive, like, Pacers fan or OKC fan or Dallas fan or, you know, 76ers fan and took Joel or Luka or Shea or Tyrese just because they're such like a homer and they let him slip to number 2. And in that case, you might even have a better shot at trying to get away with that one right now. But I do think that might be the case there indeed. And another big man I want to say a buy low for, and this is again, guys who I love. This is the guys who I love that I think there might be a window of buy low on them. Just a smidge. But this bloke, Miles Turner. Now, I have been a very big advocate of Miles Turner, but Miles Turner has not been playing up to the lovely life that we like for our Miles Turner to be playing at. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, he has been the 45th ranked player in fantasy. And this is a guy that people would have taken in the 20s and 30s. Now, I think he'll be a lot better than this. Now, this could be the Ijax happening. Isaiah Jackson has been getting minutes and playing well. They don't need to run Miles out there a little bit. But Miles Turner, in the past 7 days, according to Hashtag Basketball, was the 132nd ranked player. In the last 14, the 81st ranked player. He finished last season as the 22nd ranked player overall. Projected out on Hashtag Basketball, he's expected to finish 36. So right now he is playing at double what he is. This is a guy who can stretch the floor, free throws for a center, amazing, has generally speaking a good field goal percentage, but the last 7 days he has been shooting at 387, sub 400 from the field. That is not good. The threes are still around there. They're about 1.3, 1.5, which is what you want to look at. His points have been down, 13 points. The rebounds are down, 6. The assists are down. Everything is down for the guy. The blocks, they're okay. They've been about 1.7 in the last 14 days, 2.2, which is where we want to see them, over 2 blocks a game from Miles Turner. But again, when this is sustained over 2 or 3 or 4 games, owners to start to panic. They're like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Oh, I need more points. Oh, I need more rebounds. I need more assists. No, I need to get maybe a double. I need better field goal percentage. And they might cash him in for someone else that you have on your roster with better field goal percentage, but a much worse free throw percentage, no threes, barely any assists, and better rebounds. Maybe your guy has higher turnovers and you get back less turnovers. I don't know what it is you might be looking for, but I definitely see the door ajar on a Miles Turner window for a buy low. And again, I am a massive fan of Miles Turner. So when I say this and I look at it, I just look at the evidence and think to myself, who do I like? Or who could I go out and get in the league that's just not performing where they should be? And if you haven't, go and do the exercise. Go and look at some of your favorite players. Look at how they're going. Go through their past performances. And you probably know them anyway, but look at the team that owns them. Like, bring them up in your search history. Go into your players. Go search and just check out some of your favorite guys from around the league. Because part of the fun of fantasy is owning some of your favorite blokes. Put them in your squad. Put them in there. And that's all I'm going to say. Because if you want to do that, you're going to have a lot more fun with your fantasy team. I mean, trying to trade for your favorite guys, it can be an absolute pain in the ass. And guys, I'm trying to trade for a Pacers stack. I'm trying to trade for Tatum. I'm trying to trade for guys who I backed at the beginning of the season just to see where it goes at the end of the day. But for me, that is a massive window for some of those 3 guys. So buy low on Miles Turner, Jokic, and Tatum. Now again, buy low isn't like you send a packet of shit to these guys and light at their front door and run away. It's got to be decent because you're dealing with decent players. And so that is the art of the trade as well. You can't just bundle up crap sticks and be like, oh, they're playing so low right now. No, don't do that. That person's not going to deal with you in future. Don't do that. Don't make that trade. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl, whoever you are in fantasy land. But you want to look at it for that historic past and what you can project out in future for them to improve on. And that's what opens up those buy low windows. But by vice versa, who do you have on your roster right now that you could sell high? Well, let's look at some hot guys.
Pull over by this hot guy and let me out.
Oh, I was very happy owning Ja Morant today. Now, I may have had a bit of a controversy. I haven't really talked about it much, and I'm by myself here, so I don't have to basically soundboard it at anything like that. I made a comment where I asked about, Ja Morant's status. Is he suspended? Is he able to be rostered? Is he IL or not? Because I was told he wasn't able to be. And on Yahoo, you couldn't drop a guy on that way. It has to be a commissioner editing settings. And so which commissioner is doing it? Which commissioner is not putting Ja on some IL plus? Because if that's at your commissioner's discretion and you don't know that before your season started, you needed to know that information. So if it's consistent across the NBA landscape, the advice that I give you, the advice that any analyst could give you would be the exact same. Draft X player at your own discretion under the understanding that they will be back in 25 games. That player was Ja Morant. And in some leagues, some early draft leagues, he was able to be drafted and stashed in IL. Then he wasn't, and you couldn't add players. Based off the question I asked, like, can you or can you not? Because we were told initially that he wouldn't be able to be a suspended player, as I read a tweet, wouldn't be able to. And then I did a draft, and he was taken in the 70s. Some guy stashed him in IL live in the draft, and I was like, what the bloody hell's happening? That's not right. And so I was curious, and I found out. And there was dominoes. I always said to myself that I was going to draft Ja Morant if and when Ja Morant fell over 100. And I thought if I could draft strong enough and I could get Ja Morant over pick 100, I'd just be okay. Like, I just had to wait my turn. And sure enough, he did. In my friends and family league, I can bring up my history here because I said that when it came to talking about Ja Morant and what happened, I would use full transparency with what I did and where I took him. So I'm not being like, oh, you could have got him in the whatevers and you just had to see if it worked out for you. That's some shitty advice. Oh, anybody can do it. No, you had to play your cards right and it had to be right for you. And I waited. Here we go. I drafted him close to 100 because I knew that it was coming up to the turn and Matty O'Brien, Matrix, was going to be able to pick him up earlier on the next pick. I picked him up at pick 91 in the 8th round with the 7th pick, knowing that he would not be able to come back to me because people were salivating to get him in around pick 100. So this is the only league that I took Ja in my personal friends and family league, and I've had to wear the brunt of him taking up and occupying a roster spot for me for the last 8 weeks in one game of fantasy. But today, he was absolutely incredible. And he spearheaded just a massive return to form for the Memphis Grizzlies, down by 20 points to the New Orleans Pelicans. The man was back 35 minutes, basically, 500 from the floor, 10 from 12 from the line. We love to see that volume. 34 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 1 blocks, and 5 turnovers. You expect the turnovers. That is an absolutely huge game for Ja Morant. Like, that is a massive game. In fact, Hashtag Basketball, after one single game, rates him at the 7th best ranked player. The 7th. People are going to be right now like, oh my God, Ja's back. You might have a Memphis Grizzlies fan in your life that loves Ja and you've got him. Well, trade him now. Trade him after the next game. I don't care what you do, but this is sell high on Ja Morant. Matty, what are you saying? He's just come back. He's going to put the league on notice. I know this because I've also said that in some pods, and I do think that Ja is going to be really good, but I don't think he's going to be this good. Like, this is insane for him. I mean, last year, he finished as the 56th ranked player, according to Hashtag Basketball. 56th. And I'm using this one specific, like, shout out to Hashtag. Like, we used to want to use one particular data point, like an external one, not Yahoo, not ESPN, just wanted to go to Hashtag. Could get Basketball Monster, could get asked Josh, could ask anyone. But whatever they are, he wasn't the 7th ranked player last season. There's no way, shape, or form. In fact, there were 2 Memphis Grizzlies that outranked him last year. Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. In one game, he comes back to be not only one of the best Memphis Grizzlies of all time, with the 7th in one game, like, it's a massive game. Massive, massive win. Grizzlies fans were hyped for this one. And he finished last year, as I said, at 56. Post-trade deadline last year, he was the 92nd ranked player. Now, that's interesting. So that's what we want to bring out from this exercise. When we sell high, who can we go on? And if there is ever a glaring window for the hype train of Jars, if he puts another game like this together or 2 games together like this, and the Grizz win, people are going to be super stoked about Ja Morant. Now, I think he'll get injured at some point for a very short time. Maybe, potentially. There's also the talk that the Grizz just don't tank hard, but then they just don't try hard. Like, they just want to show what they can do. And then they go for the draft pick. They increase their squad. You know, rest in peace, Kenny Lofton Jr. You know, this is a guy who projects around like top 50-ish like value. Like, and by the way, in a points league, bloody hell, I'm talking category leagues here. In a points league, this guy Wow. Like, amazing. Like, in a points league, you're not getting him lightly. In a category league, you might be able to sniff out like just the uber greatest deal that you could possibly get. Oh, hello, Donovan Mitchell. Someone might just see a point guard and be like, oh, yeah, I love him. Oh, I love Ja. Oh, you might. You might. I'm not saying you could pull it off. If you do, please DM me. Please say, Matt. And I literally just used Don then because I love Don Mitchell. I use him as a marker point guideline. And also shout out to my mate Skitty because he's fresh in my mind off our chat about other trades tonight. And he's a massive Cavs fan. Also, shout out to Skitty because, as I said, I am at my parents' place and there's some god-awful bloody curtains in the same room. I've given that bloke enough shit for his curtains in enough of our podcasts over time. But shout out to my mum and dad, Mama and Papa G, and the study. And there was a whole bunch of like bloody things up on that shelf that I had to go. They're on the floor in the back there that would absolutely terrify you at night and haunt your dreams if you hadn't seen them. But my whole advice right there is this. Get rid of Ja now. Like, just sell high on the bloke because he is absolutely not this good every single game. He can't be. I don't think he is. So for me, that is an absolutely massive sell high. I'm also looking around, guys, on the fridges. Devin Vassell. I want to talk about Devin Vassell for a second because he has been very good lately. I like Vassell. I'm a very big fan of Devin Vassell. In fact, shout out to another one of our blokes from the Inside Fantasy Sports Podcast Network, Matty Malley, who I would be doing this show with him. He's been trying to trade him off a couple of times, and he actually managed to get away a cheeky trade for Vassell the other day in one of our leagues, even though he's a massive Spurs fan. But the guy's inefficiencies have been there the last couple of games. But he is looking to be much more comfortable getting the minutes and the role. I do think there is a sell high on him right now because there's an inevitable chance that he does get injured again soon. He's also just capped every now and then with his inefficiencies, but people don't see inefficiencies sometimes when they see points. He's been shooting the free throws as well at an absolutely incredible clip the last month. Like, the last month, he has been absolutely incredible from the free throw line. Like, he's been shooting at 844, but he's a sub 800 shooter. So this is a guy you can look back and be like, oh yeah, his efficiency's there. Do you want more efficiency? Do you want some more threes in your team? You probably do, because inefficiencies at the end of the day can really ding you up. His free throw efficiency right there looks really shining right now. The 5 threes the other night, really shining. Then there's the spattering, the threes and the twos. The assists are there, but the defensive stats come and go in drips and drabs. The turnovers, to be fair, have been down in this whole Sohan, Trey Jones, Malachi Branham ether of things right now. Zach Collins has been in and out of form. I've even seen Zach Collins dropped in a league. But I think right now we're seeing some really good Vassell. So you might be able to sell him off for a similar product, like archetype of a sort. Maybe someone like a Jalen Williams. Maybe. Someone possibly even better again in a league. Sniff around and see what you can get. But I do think there is a bit of a buy high, like a sell high window on Vassell right now where you'll be able to cash back out some trade value from him. And I need to eat some crow. I need to eat some crow. I'm gonna say that at the beginning of the season, there were some guys I was really in on and some guys I was really out on. And one of those guys that I thought that you might want to be able to like get in there for is I really got to say that I saw potential here for guys like Saddiq Bey. And I saw guys like Klay Thompson. And Saddiq Bey has been really good at times with Jalen Johnson out of the lineup. Now, Jalen's apparently being reevaluated next week, so there's more an extended absence. But Klay Thompson was the other bloke that I thought good things of at the beginning of the season. And he wasn't very good for a long period of time this year. Klay was not good. And that's okay to say it because it breaks my heart to think it because I liked Klay Thompson. Now, Klay Thompson has not been good. In fact, he's been basically almost 100. He's 117th ranked player over this season, according to Hashtag Basketball. And in the last 7 days, he's been the 17th ranked player. That's top 20. That's in my wildest dreams. I picked him up in a few leagues. I couldn't have hoped for that. 17th. 500 from the field. Perfect from the free throw line. 5.8 threes a game, 26 points. What the fuck is happening on the season? This is less than 420. 900 field, 3 threes, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, not even a steal or a block. The steals are there right now. The lack of turnovers with his increased playmaking and increased efficiency, he's gone down to 0.5 turnovers per game. Has old daddy Clay. Like, the man is absolutely cooking right now. Like, he's absolutely on fuego. The 5.8 threes as well. My word. Like, he's increased, it's dragged his percentages from the season up out of absolutely bloody nowhere. So we love that one. Klay Thompson is a sell high. And I know this as well because I think there's windows around the place on guys that we say, and you've got to look at the evidence as well. One, he can't sustain this. He's older. He's back from a couple of injuries. They've worn down on him. Golden State's in a place where they've got to step up right now. Draymond's out for an indefinite amount of time. The culture in Golden State, like, there's been a seismic shift this season. You'd think it would be smooth sailing with Jordan Poole out. They'd come back and return to the form. They haven't. Like, Draymond's been a bit of a loose cannon. Again, getting help, suspended indefinitely. And I don't want to throw around stuff when it comes to mental health. And I'm really actually, like, whether it's true or false, whatever, if it's not true, and if that's the narrative, well, at least people are saying that it could be this. I don't like it to be used as a banner for it, and it shouldn't be used as a banner for that. But if you act that way, there's other shit going on in your life. Like, and whatever that is, like, happy to hear that he's getting help. But that's off court. We're here to talk about fantasy basketball. Like, and when we look at it, we have to look at the evidence. We have to look at the time on the court. And the time on the court where Klay Thompson has been on there with Draymond, they haven't been very good. And Draymond's got to come back. He's got to get touches. All of these things. Now, they can be successful with Draymond and Klay together. They can be. We've seen it. We've seen championships built around that core dynamic of Steph and Klay and Dre. But I don't expect it to be this good. I don't expect it to be the 17th ranked player. I don't expect him to be the top 20 player for the season. I don't expect to see him top 50. I really like him 50 to 75, 75 to 100-ish. Fine. But I did not expect him to be this good. And when people are this good, you can sell them. And you can sell high on them. Because the narrative, especially with this, will start to be Klay's back, baby. And to be fair, last year, after the trade deadline, he improved again. He was the 65th ranked player last year, and after the trade deadline last year, he escalated his efforts up to the 53rd ranked player. So he could be very good at that back end of the season as well, especially when Golden State need him and are really fighting for that position. So we want to have a look at Klay as a target right now that we sell high on, and we get a guy back. And I don't want to say you should do it like this second, but I kind of feel you should. Because I think he increases in value even more if this continues for a more sustained period for another game or two. And that's what we really want to look at. Because if he can do it for that, then it's very nice. And we really want to look in that one. Let's break it on down. And also let's get down to this for a second. Let's look at the schedule and a bit of a preview. Those are my hot guys. Right now, you want to do it. Let's look at a game preview and where we want to focus on for this week and what we can get for some pickups.
He's heating up.
Yeah, it's a crazy week because obviously with Christmas Day, we have the whole like game like off on Christmas Eve, and then we bounce back into it. And we have like Sunday, no games, and then we have Christmas, and then there's every game. And we're looking at like the Wednesday games right now because you're listening to this as we go into the Wednesday games, and there's 10 of them. But we can't probably have roster spots there. What we do want to look at is the Thursday and the Friday set, though. So the big thing for the Thursday-Friday set this week is the Washington Wizards. They are the only two teams that play on Thursday and Friday of this coming week. Why that is important is on this 10-game Wednesday, you've probably got roster spots filled left, right, and bloody center. And that's okay for you to have. But what we do want to get away with that after this is we want to use one ad or two ads to maximize our rotational spots. And again, the only team that plays on both of these days is the Washington Wizards. And I hate myself for saying you should draft a Wizard in, but you should. Who's available for the Washington Wizards? Well, I like Corey Kispert and Malak Coulibaly more than anyone else on this team. Those are the guys who are around. Now, if I go through my Yahoo rankings list and see who's available teams and my researchers, we're just going to go down to all teams to show I don't want to show my team. You can look through your teams and find out who's available on it. And in a lot of leagues, there's a few around. In fact, Tyus Jones was available in some leagues, and he has been on an absolute burner. He has returned to form very bloody nicely. And in fact, guys who have benefited from him are guys who have picked up Tyus Jones in their leagues. So we definitely want to look into that one. So we want to have a look around for guys who are available around the fringes of the Washington Wizards for those next couple of days and target them leading into the weekend break. Our next ads outside of it, we've got the Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Now, the Saturday game is a write-off. There's 13 games on that one. So we're looking for the low volume. We're looking for the low volume Friday day, our next one. And if you do have a spot randomly free on the Saturday, I don't know why you would with 26 teams playing, but by miracle, if you want to maximize your Friday and Saturday ads, you've got the Hawks, the Nets, the Mavs, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Rockets, the Kings, and the Raptors. And again, there is no Saturday, Sunday back-to-backs because there are no games on the Sunday. So we're streaming in there for the Thursday and the Friday, and we're really using those targets. On the Friday, the low volume days, the Warriors have been an absolute shout, and they had the small game sample size on our Tuesday with 4 games as well. And they're playing on those low volume days. And so that's where we get to glisten some of that and glean some value off those streams and those picks. Those have been the hottest ones there. Hottest transactions across Yahoo. He is absolutely moving right now. Taylor Horton Tucker, with a game today, people are bringing him left, right, and center. In the last 3 hours since the trade window has added up, he has gone up 7,000 ads and been dropped 32,000 times. Bugger me. 32 times. Now, he's gone up to 35% ownership in Yahoo. Isaac Okoro has also been a massive ad and getting a bump, as well as big-time drops happening and big-time swings are happening here for Benedict Mathurin is getting ads, Aaron Naismith for the Indiana Pacers, looking for some value there, and also Malik Beasley is, funnily enough, being dropped off. Malik Beasley dropped again. Now, he came back from his back injury, so he was back from his illness this week. And he didn't play very well today. They had a massive win as well. He played 27 minutes against the Spurs. 3 from 7, only 1 3. 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists and a steal. But no turnovers for Malik. Now, if he makes an extra 3, he's all of a sudden at 10 points. And people get sexy numbers if you see 2 threes and 10 points and 4 rebounds and a couple of assists and a peripheral steal. Keep your eye on Malik Beasley. He's gone down 4%. He's been very solid, and he is probably one of my roster guys ads that I am looking at around the fringes to help bring in for value most consistently. If you're looking to hit up the Warriors, as we said on that low volume day, we are looking for guys like Trace. We're definitely looking into bring him and Saric. Now, Trace outplayed the other blokes the other day, and that was really interesting to see. And we love Trace Davies here. Like, he has been, where is he? I thought, who did he go by? One of my mates took him there. Yeah. Shout out to you, Ken. He was right on him. He was watching the game the other day, and he added him mid-game. So Trace Jackson-Davis would add by Morning Glory Tuner. Shout out to you, Ken, for adding him mid-game, thinking, like, I think there's something here. And I'm going to put him on my roster. Kaminga, Moody, all these guys are targets. Saric, especially while Draymond's out and on these low-volume days. Look, that'll do it from me, apart from my final thing that I promised that I would mention. And I think this might get me one of these ones if I reveal my secrets.
My wife always says,
I'll say
not
it anyway.
tonight.
Yep. Top 3 places to watch NBA basketball on Christmas Day away from the family. Oh, what's that? You've got to cook some veggies on the barbecue. This is not going to do inside.